From the Arkansas Sports Network, it's an in-depth Arkansas Razorbacks podcast featuring the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Brad Caldwell.
When I grew up, I remember the Quinn Grovey days where the SWC champions in 88 and 89. I mean, that was the time that I grew up. That's the time that I got hooked on Razorbacks.
Around here, we call him the Rain Man of Arkansas Razorback Sports, Mr. Duran Miller.
Real quick, speaking about going down to Baton Rouge, and all the corn dogs and all that nature. But y'all remember the time Bobby Boucher intercepted the quarterback and his pants fell off?
And finally, he wears his hair upside down and he pushes all the buttons, Mr. Bill Harshaw.
When you look at the Razorback athletic program across the board, Hunter Yurichek's got this thing moving in the right direction because these kids are looking at Arkansas athletics going, hey, Arkansas is the place to be, and we haven't had that in a while.
Everyone get ready, because you're now connected to the Razor Wire.
And good afternoon, everybody. Bill Harshaw with you, along with Duran Miller and Brad Caldwell, for today's episode of the Razor Wire. We got a jam-packed show for you today, as we are going to talk about last week's scrimmage. We have interviews with Sam Pittman, as well as Ricky Stromberg and Trey Williams. We're also going to look at last week's Little Rock Touchdown Club meeting that Sam Pittman had just earlier this week, and a couple of things like that. Now, also want to let you know that next week, you want to stay tuned for next week's episode of the Razor Wire, as we are going to be giving our predictions on the Razorback score. So we're not going to give anything away just yet, but I'm excited about that one, you guys.
I'm excited that we're getting close to football and we can actually find something to talk about without talking about the talking, right?
That's it.
Right.
I mean, everybody's talking. We want to talk about what happens on the field. And,
Exactly.
it's almost game week. That's what we're looking for. And, matter of fact, we have the Russellville Sports Network, which is a division of the Arkansas Sports Network. And we are doing Pottsville, Atkins, and Dover High School football, as well as Pottsville volleyball this year. And you want to tune that out, check that out. If you go to arkansassportsnetwork.com, you can check all of those live streams out. It's right there. There's a link. It takes us directly to those YouTube pages, and you can watch those games. And we invite you to take a look at that as we go. Duran, you'll be at Dover Hector Friday night. What do you think about that?
I'm excited about it. Hector, they lost their quarterback. They lost their starting running back. So they're rebuilding a little bit this year. Dover's coming off their back-to-back second season in a row without a win. So it's some tough times, but they got a second-year coach for the first time in a while. So they're building some continuity there. And we're excited to see what it looks like on Friday night and see how everything works out.
Yeah, that's where all of your two-a-days and all of your practices and everything you do in the off season, this is where you start to see those benefits.
Yeah, 100%. That's the work's going on right now for them lights to come on tomorrow night. So that's exciting, and I can't wait to see what changes they've made and just the different players and how they've come along and developed over the last 9 months or so.
How awesome is it for you that you get a chance to be the play-by-play guy for your school that you graduated from?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those things that I was always a guy that was into the journalism side of things. I used to work for the Courier here in Russellville, covered Dover, and it's definitely nothing that I expected to happen, really. And it's something that's for sure kind of a bucket list thing. It's very exciting to me, and I can't wait to get this going.
Well, I know we put together a pretty nice package for all of these streams, and I'm excited for those to finally be premiered and everybody to see what we've been working so hard to bring you. I know what everybody else is excited for, and then, that's what we're here for. Talk about those Razorbacks. And we talked last week about the scrimmage that was upcoming last Saturday and what we expected to see out of it. And what did you want to see, Duran?
Well, we needed the offense. From what we all heard, it sounded like the offense struggled a little bit in that first scrimmage. And so that's one thing I wanted to hear about, that they started getting a little bit more of a flow, and they did better in pass protection and things of that nature, because it sounds like the defensive ends kind of had their way with them. And I'm also excited to see and hear, I was excited to hear how KJ did in that scrimmage. And there's been a lot of talk this week. There's been some more stuff going on with Malik Hornsby. He's clearly the 2 right now. KJ's clearly the 1, but there's a lot of that Kool-Aid talk going on, and it's always that way. Your backup quarterback's always the guy that people want to talk about. That's ready to to step in, and he could do so much better, whatever. So you get a little bit of that, but I'm really excited about KJ, and I think it's kind of hard in these scrimmages because he does have that anthracite jersey on, things of that nature. So you can't really see exactly, and Pittman kind of alluded to that a little bit. You can't really see what he would do because he's not being, uh, they're just going to blow the whistle quickly on him, where he might have broke out of that and extended drives.
And
So
that's
those are a
the
couple of the
thing.
things that I'm looking forward
And
to.
that's the thing that I'm interested to see, and we're not going to see it until Rice comes into town. Is what's KJ and
Right.
and Hornsby for that matter? What are they going to look like when you get that green jersey off? When you can touch them again? How when they're not playing two-hand touch and they have to face a hit? I think KJ's a big guy. I mean,
Right.
he's a good sized boy, and I think he's going to hold his own. You would think, taking a hit as long as he doesn't get hit to the wrong area. Hornsby, on the other hand, I'm not sure what kind of hit he can take and survive. He's such a little guy.
He's fast. I mean, like really fast. And well, I don't know. I think we may be setting up for a quarterback battle in the middle of the season at some point if KJ has any troubles. It's going to be a very interesting first few games. Um, Arkansas's got a chance to be a pretty good football team this year. I think that they're exuding the confidence that they need to exude as far as from the coaching staff. You can tell they feel good. The question is going to be if the quarterback play is there to be good. And I don't know what that's going to look like. We saw 18 of 33, 274 yards from KJ against Missouri, but Missouri was not a bastion of defense last year. So what is it going to look like? And then the consistency that I touched on last year, or last week, I should say, can there be the consistency? But I keep seeing this happening, and this is just an observation. I'm not saying that we're going to have a starter issue right now at first or whatever, but every time that I'm looking, Hornsby's putting the ball in the end zone. Now, is it against the 2s? Is it against the 3s? Maybe it is. I don't know what they're working, if they're giving him a chance against the 1s or not. But with that being said, in the scrimmages, he's putting the ball in the end zone, and that's huge.
That is huge. And I think that, anytime you have a first year starter such as KJ, you have to wonder how far is that separation between 1 and 2? Because if that separation is real small, that could translate to a short leash. And if KJ, throws the wrong interception, doesn't get the drive moving, and it's just kind of stale, I would expect Sam Pittman to put Hornsby in just to try to find that spark. And that's when things could happen. That's when that change that you're talking about, Brad, that's when you could see that quarterback dynamic change where, the most popular place on any college campus is always the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
And even more so right now because KJ hasn't been able to prove himself as a starter.
Right. And I think what a lot of this is they recruited Hornsby for a reason. And that reason is this dude is super talented. I mean, KJ's talented. I mean, but when we're talking about his feet, I mean, he's more of a 4.5, 4.6, 4.7 kind of guy with this weight. Hornsby, this dude is legit track speed. I mean, he is a 4.2, 4.3 top guy. I mean, he is a burner, and he just has so much potential. The thing with him, the reason KJ is so far ahead of him is KJ is advanced so far as we know, in reading the defense, knowing where to go with the ball, getting it out, knowing what his reads are. So that's why he's kind of up there, and his accuracy has kind of been better. But as Malik kind of gets better and better, and I've heard guys commenting in interviews, he's got as strong an arm as anybody. Go back, I watched the spring game again the other day, and go back and watch that spring game, and he's one of those guys. I don't know if you've ever been around a guy like that. They just flick the ball. He almost has a sidearm motion a little bit. And you ever been around a guy like that? They can just flick it and the ball goes 70 yards. And you're just like, that's just insane. It's like they're not even trying. It's effortless. He's like that. The dude has major potential. So I think that's kind of what this is he's just sitting there waiting to burst out. And if once he figures it all out mentally, I mean, it's kind of like Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady back at New England. You know, Bledsoe was the man, was doing things. He gets hurt, and Brady gets thrust in there, and he takes over, and that's it for Bledsoe. He's done, and that's we're getting far off on that comparison, but I'm just saying it could be one of those things because there is massive potential there with Malik Hornsby.
I think you're right. And that's one of the things that Pittman talked about in his post-scrimmage press conference was that the quarterback reads have improved. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking to see KJ improve his reads. I think with Hornsby, as soon as he learns the reads a little bit more, learns the offense a little bit better, and improves his accuracy, he's going to have a chance to really contend for that number one spot. But Pittman did say that the quarterback reads were improved. Let's take a listen.
Davion Warren, we held him out. He tweaked his hamstring Friday in practice, so he did not go today. Traylon Smith, he's got a little turf toe. We've been holding him out. He did not go today. Ricky Stromberg had a little bit of a sprained MCL, and he's been practicing on and off. But because he really got cleared to come back on Thursday, in limited contact, we did not play him today. And Jalen Catalon, last scrimmage, had a shoulder that was beat up a little bit, and we have been doing some medical work on him, and that medical work did not allow him to practice today. All four of those guys will be ready. Most of them will be ready to participate in practice on Monday. The other section is different, and I won't comment on any of their injuries, but I will tell you that each guy that I'm getting ready to talk about, I believe, will be ready for Rice, okay? But they certainly, if we played Rice today, they would not have played, okay? So that's Traylon Burks, T.J. Hammonds, A.J. Green, and Sam Loy. They did not play today, but I expect all of them to be ready for the Rice game. I thought it was very physical scrimmage. Last week, Trey, I believe that our defense lasted, if that is how you call it, they outlasted the offense, I believe, last week, and I don't believe that this week. I think the offense, in the second half, I think the offense came back and did some really nice things. It was a pretty even scrimmage. Maybe the defense had gotten the better of the offense a little bit early in the first half, and I believe the offense responded, which I didn't feel like they did last week. Special teams, I thought we were good. We have to get better kicking field goals. We weren't quite as good today with our field goal game as what we have been in the past.
And what about KJ's performance and any notable
I like
plays that
KJ.
he made?
It's so hard, when the whistle's so fast on him. But I believe, he didn't take a lot of sacks. He ran the offense well. I felt like he was accurate today. So I think he's starting to feel like, he's the man back there, and our offense is and our team is rallying around him. But I thought he had a good day. Throwing and running the offense. Well, the pass rush was still very good. The pass protection was much better. There were still, some things that the defense is doing to us. Well, we need to get the ball out of our hands, and I thought we got better in the second half of that scrimmage than we were in the first half. On Thursday, we will start our Rice prep, and so the next 3 days, with school starting as well, with some other distractions that we haven't had because, no school. Monday's going to be the telltale of how good our football team, how mature our football team, in my opinion, is, and I expect it to be one of the best practices we have all year.
So again, that's Sam Pittman post scrimmage press conference, talking about how things changed from week one to the second scrimmage, and by all indications, things continue to improve as we get ready for Rice.
And it just needs to continue to improve. And, again, you're not going to know until you get out on the field. Arkansas needs to handle Rice. And a lot of that's going to have to do with how well KJ Jefferson plays. I think that there's a lot of good people around him. A lot of good things happening around him. I mean, but is he going to be able to do the job? I mean, you think about the fact that this offensive line returns 5 starters. You think about what they're returning in the backfield. I mean, the the backfield with Rocket Sanders stepping up the way he is right now. I mean, that kid looks to be legitimate. AJ Green right now, I think, is a guy that we can look at maybe more toward the middle of the season because of injuries.
Right.
But they talk about those two guys. You may have a two-headed monster in the future here at running back, which is massive. Wide receivers, they've got talent. They've got talent there. They're feeling really good about them. Again, this falls on the shoulders of the quarterback. We've been saying it all off season long. This team will go as far as KJ Jefferson can take them.
And the
Right.
biggest thing, one other thing that we've been saying all off season long is that one of the biggest areas of concern for us is that pass protection. Our offensive line cannot let pressure continue to get to the quarterback. And Coach Pittman said that, KJ was getting the ball out of his hands a little quicker in the second half. So that's an improvement. The pass protection was better. Now, you can always wonder, is the pass protection better because KJ is getting the ball out of his hands on time, or was the KJ able to get the ball out of his hands on time because the pass protection was a little better? I mean, those are kind of
Right.
things. He did say that the pass rush is still there. It could probably get better, but I mean, there is pressure coming to the quarterback defensively.
Yeah.
But the good news offensively for the Hogs is that pass protection and that offensive line, it's beefing up. The offseason has been good with the strength and conditioning coach. I think we're in good hands.
Yeah, he definitely talked about that pass pro was something in the first scrimmage they really weren't very good at, and it was something that he definitely felt like they improved. And yeah, he was saying that didn't mean the pass rush was bad this time. It was just they got better. Another thing that got them ready better was, like you said, KJ was getting the ball out a little quicker. But another thing was something that they really needed to do better at was the quarterback read game. He felt like that was something that definitely needed to progress, and he felt like it did. And he actually said KJ specifically that he was reading certain guys, whatever the keys are. Say they're running a Y stick or whatever they're running. You got a guy running a hitch, and they're keying on the backer coming down, or whatever it is, they were reading that quicker. He's knowing where to go with the ball. So that's a big key, especially in a browse run offense. It's an RPO top scheme. So those are two big factors that were something that we improved on, and we got to keep continuing to improve for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked offense, we've talked a little defense. The one side of the ball that a lot of times people don't focus on, preseason is the special teams. I mean, those can make or break you. And we're looking at a new kicker, Cameron Little, and by what Pittman had to say in his post game or post scrimmage press conference, we struggled a little bit in the field goal section. So that's something to keep an eye on in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
little.
I mean, we've had problems in the kicking game before. It's cost us ball games in the past. We need a strong kicker to come in here and be that guy. Cameron Little has looked to be that guy. Look, you're not going to make every field goal. I mean, one of the guys that if you go and look at one of the guys that Arkansas considers one of his greatest kickers ever is Steve Little. Go look at his percentages.
Yeah.
And they're not perfect. Zach Hawker is a guy that a lot of people consider to be one of the greatest. He had 1 year where he didn't do great.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things that factors that go into kicking, and Cam Little had an off practice scrimmage, but he's been really good during the off season so far. So let's hope that part sticks.
Could just be something in his head, something he needs to get over.
Right.
Stress of getting ready for the semester. I don't know. Hopefully he gets it out and gets the ball in between the uprights.
Yeah, that guy's a true freshman. So I mean, I think he's just gonna, those are growing pains. And so far he's had an excellent camp, except for this one little hiccup. So hopefully he puts that behind us and learns from it. The one thing I do want to talk about in that scrimmage though was the injury updates. And they held out several guys: AJ Green, TJ Hammonds, Traylon Burks, Jalen Catalon, Ricky Stromberg, of course. Now, most of those guys they think they were going to return to practice earlier this week, and then they have, from everything I've seen. But there was a few of them that Pittman said, if we played Rice tomorrow, they wouldn't be playing, and that was Traylon Burks and Jalen Catalon, and those are about as big a names as they get. But he did say nothing to worry about. He kind of broke it down and said it slowly that way to make sure there was no fuss over this. But he said he definitely feels like they're going to be fine. He said Catalon kind of bruised his shoulder the week before, I think the scrimmage before, and they were just kind of resting him on that just to make, they're just making sure these guys are in tip-top shape. But he wouldn't have went if they played Rice that day. So those are kind of some things that we didn't have those guys in the scrimmage. Did that play a role on the offense doing a little bit better job, not having a Catalan out there? Might have, but they also didn't have Burks. They also didn't have Devion Warren. Warren didn't play in the scrimmage because he kind of tweaked his hamstring a little bit. But I know he said Warren would be back this week, and everything's looking good there. Relatively wise, we've done a good job overall injury wise. The injury bug has not hit us real hard yet. Knock on wood.
Right. We don't have any ankle breaks or whatever those were. You remember those every year?
The Nike shoes would be them.
Yeah. We had foot fractures and stuff like that.
It was terrible.
Not happening. But one thing that I wanted to throw in here is one of the questions on the offensive side of the ball is who's going to be that number 2 wide receiver. I haven't seen anybody necessarily inside the camp take up that number 2 receiving spot. It seems like they've got candidates, but who is going to be the guy at the end of the day? I don't know.
They do, and that's something that before we go too far down this road, I want to say, that's something that we are going to talk about in the next segment, because Ricky Stromberg and Trey Williams were asked in their press conference this week on kind of who's standing out, and both of them mentioned a wide receiver. So stay tuned. After the break, we're going to hear from Ricky and Trey and hear who those wide receivers are and who they think is standing out on the freshman stance. It kind of goes along with what we're talking about here. Stay tuned. We'll discuss more right after the break. On the Razor Wire, and before we get back into the Ricky Stromberg and Trey Williams cut that we talked about before the break, I want to let everybody know about the Arkansas Sports Network Game of the Week. We mentioned we have Dover, Pottsville, and Atkins weekly. The ASN Game of the Week starts in a couple of weeks. Brad, tell us about it.
Looking forward to September the 17th when the Shiloh Christian Saints take on the Sand Spring, Oklahoma Sandites. I don't know how to say that, but anyway, 6A team out of Oklahoma. The whole point of what we're trying to do with the ASN Game of the Week is bring you these guys that are Razorback commitments and Razorback interest from around the state. The biggest games and the biggest teams and the biggest players is really what we're trying to do. We have scheduled so far the number 1 team in 6A, 5A, 4A, and 2A on the schedule so far. And we still have a couple open dates right now that we're going to work in. So we're very, very excited about what's coming in the middle of September and October. It's going to be awesome. Tell your friends about it, because again, if you want to see future Razorbacks, you want to watch this broadcast, because it's what it's going to be about. The future on the hill, those guys that are highly interested in Razorbacks and committed to the Razorbacks, they're coming to your living room.
And you're going to hear about all these kids next year when they make it to the hill. You may hear about some of the freshmen that are on the hill, like Bryce Stevens. That's a name that you're hearing a little bit in the wide receiver position. Ricky and Trey started talking about these guys. That's what we were talking about before the break. And, Brad, you were talking before the break about the depth and the experience and who's going to be that second receiver. We know about Burks. Who's number 2? And, they asked Ricky and Trey in that press conference earlier this week, who's standing out in the wide receiver field. Here's who they said.
We have a lot of hybrid players. I mean, the guys that can play inside, outside. I play inside, outside. Gregory does. Zach does. We have a lot of inside, outside guys, which makes our D-line really versatile. So, I mean, that's really good as well.
I think protection is one thing we really need to take a step up in. Also, I mean, keep progressing our running game, but really take a step in our protection and, help our quarterbacks out. Bryce Stevens, the receiver, he's freshman. Yeah, he catches my eye every time we're at practice, so he's going to be a good player.
What is it about him?
He's just fast. I mean, every time I watch him, he's making plays, so I'm kind of he's catching my eye when he's making plays. So,
What about you, Trey? Anybody anywhere jumping out to you that's just surprised you maybe?
A guy with a lot of potential and shows a lot of flashes is Keytron Jackson. I mean, that guy, he has a body. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, and he's really acrobatic in the air. So, I mean, every time I watch, I watch Bryce too. Bryce is pretty good. He's making plays, and so is Keytron.
I think camp went well. I mean, obviously I wasn't in too much of camp, but watching the O-line and the guys, I mean, they worked their tails off. They grinded every single day. So I'm excited to see what this team can do coming out of fall camp and heading into right preparation.
So, Brad, any of that surprise you? Duran, anybody?
Duran?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I thought it was very interesting that both of them, when they were asked, "Hey, is there anybody that y'all kind of see as someone that we haven't heard about yet that's kind of standing out?" And they both picked a freshman wide receiver. So Stevens is who Ricky Stromberg said. Bryce Stevens said a dude just fast, catches everything. And Trey was talking about Keytron Jackson, saying how that dude's just big, physical, got that big body already, looks like he's matured. And there was a play he talked about in particular where there was a ball overthrown. He didn't think there's no way he's getting it, and he just went up and grabbed it. And I said it was super impressive, just a great catch. So that's one of those things, as we were talking about receiver and who's that number 2 guy. And I feel like, and I know Pittman kind of hinted about this in one of his pressers, that there's some depth there. And you got Guyton, the wide receiver coach, he's got some stuff to work with. And I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised that there's some guys going under the radar that we don't really hear much about, like these Stevens and Jackson, that are stepping up. And another guy this week that he got to do an interview is Jaquelin Crawford. And it's, the former transfer from Oklahoma. He's really starting to play that slot receiver role a lot. And I feel like he's starting to come along. With Devion Warren kind of got a little tweaked hamstring, he's getting a little bit more playing time there. They're starting to say that the light's starting to come on for him a lot. So that helps. And here's another guy, man. Go back and watch the spring game, and you hear his name. It pops up all the time. Last scrimmage, the big touchdown pass that Hornsby had was to John David White. This guy, he reminds me of a Drew Morgan, a little bit smaller version, like height-wise, I think. But if you watch him, he's one of those phone booth guys. You can't cover him in a phone booth. He gets in and out of his breaks super quick. I'm really excited about John David White. I think he's an under-the-radar guy big time that's really going to help this team this year. Harper Cole's another wide receiver that Bielema mentioned that's had a good camp.
Bielema?
I'm sorry, Pittman.
Oh, dear God, please.
Sorry, man. Sam Pittman.
I was going through some PTSD stuff there for a minute, Duran. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man. I made lots of enemies during the Bielema era when I would post on Facebook about how great the era was going, which it wasn't going very well at all. Made a lot. I think I had probably 500 people who defriended me at some point there. But there are a lot of names here that you can go by. The question is, who's going to really stand up? One of the names that's really not being mentioned, and it's a disappointment, is Trey Knox. There's just not a lot of talk about Trey Knox. And you can tell who are the guys and who are not the guys just by going and looking at the roster and finding out who they're not talking about. They're not talking about Knox. Devion Warren has a great chance of being that next guy again. My question now would be for him is, will Jaquelin Crawford step in and be that guy that Devion Warren has been? Warren had a really good year last year before he got injured. I like some of this young talent. Keytron Jackson, I think, is a guy that's going to help us big time. 6'2", 205 pounds. I think he's really built for that mold of maybe a number 2, possibly a number 3 this year. Bryce Stevens is another guy. John David White, a guy that you're talking about, a guy that nobody's really saying much about. That's pretty much very steady. Tyson Morris has
Wow.
been a steady guy for us the whole time that he has been here. He's
Super
caught some
senior.
balls here.
Mhm.
Warren Thompson's another guy, Florida State transfer that they've talked about some, 6'3", 205 pounds. So there are guys that are there. It's just going to be, again, what happens on the field. They can say what they want to, but it's always funny how you hear in preseason how, well, this is happening and this is happening, and then you get on the field in the games and it doesn't happen
Right.
that way. There's always somebody that steps up that nobody's really talking about. Last year, who would have thought that Drew Morgan came out of nowhere to become a
Grant.
first-team All-American? I
Grant
mean,
Morgan.
yeah, that's right, Grant Morgan, not Bielema, not Drew Morgan, Grant Morgan.
Right.
Anyway, Grant Morgan came out of nowhere. He became an All-American last year.
Right.
I'm not saying we're going to have that, but there is going to be somebody that steps up that we haven't really said much about, and maybe that is Trey Knox. Maybe that's a tight end. Who knows?
Well, the cool thing about it is the way that they are practicing is they want to practice just like it's a game. They want to get them in good shape. They want to make these corrections. And Coach Pittman says, let's make these corrections now. If you see a problem, let's fix it now. Don't wait until later. And not only that, but he's bringing the staff in that's going to be able to do that. And Pittman talked this week at the Little Rock Touchdown Club. And, some of the things that he talked about, it's not really something that's like hard hitting news, but it shows Pittman's personality. And that's
Right.
what I liked the most about some of these clips. And, he talked about the performance on the field when they're practicing, and he talked about we don't want to slack. When we're going to running on the field, we're running off the field. We want to run on the field and run off of the field. And I just like the way he talks about his staff. Check out what Pittman had to say about that staff, and listen in at the end when he talks about the new tight ends coach.
Whatever we believe as a staff, I want it done. And if we say that we're going to fly off the field, well, let's see it. If you're going to run off the field, then run off the field. That is a jog. Get your butt back out here and run off the field. I mean, if we're going to ask you to do something, we're doing it for a reason. So why do we want them to sprint off the field? It's conditioning. We tell them it's conditioning. We have a reason behind everything we do. Everything we do. And we tell the kids, this is why we're doing that. We did have some turnover on the position coaches, but there's never a woe is me, never in our building, never, because we got a problem. We're damn sure going to fix it. That's just how it is. And guess what? It ain't a problem no more. You got a problem, fix it. Problem goes away, right? And you need to fix it as fast as you can, and that's what we do. And y'all know Dow Loggins? That's a pretty damn good hire, right? You know when we hired him? June the 12th. So a lot of people, well, who you going to get? I'm going to say better than I had. That's who I'm going to get. We are at the University of Arkansas, ain't we?
So again, Pittman seems to be building not only the staff that he wants, but he's also trying to pull in the kids that he wants. He's already bringing in some. Who else does he need? So what positions is he looking for? I mean, obviously we need some tight ends. I'd say we need some tight ends to come in.
Right.
And they've got them coming in. Obviously they're going to have depth no matter who they've got. But man, think about what you just asked, Bill. You said, who else do they need? And we came up silent. There's a lot of depth on this team. I mean, I feel like that way. Maybe we come back in 4 weeks and say, we don't have enough depth.
Yeah, we need somebody at linebacker. Or
exactly. And that's true. That's true. There may be a linebacker here. There are. But they're adding
injuries.
depth.
Somebody may get hurt. You never know.
Pittman said it. He said, this team is starting to look like an SEC football team.
Right.
And I mean, that's why it's kind of hard to say, well, what do we need? I mean, right now, you'll find out here in a few days.
Right.
The cool thing about Pittman is he doesn't go anywhere without knowing in the back of his mind, we are on the recruiting trail. everything he does is focused towards recruiting. And like you said,
Right.
we're building an SEC team, something that actually resembles an SEC team. We need the size,
Yeah.
the speed, and Pittman was saying, we want those guys that's coming to Arkansas because they like what they have here. We want those guys to come to Arkansas because they bleed Razorback red. And we want to get
Right.
the size of the guys to match what SEC caliber guys have. And he's packaging these things together. And he says, guys, we need the fans' help, because if we want to recruit these kids that are coming to Arkansas, one of the things that we have to do is show up as the fan base. And he issued a challenge to fans for the Rice game to do just that. Let's listen to what Pittman had to say.
Well, I like big people. And I used to be slim, but I wanted to like myself more, so I gained weight. But I like big. I like bigger faster than I do smaller faster. And so we go out. We're trying to look like an SEC football team, and I think you'll see we're getting close. I mean, we are getting close. Great work this summer. But I want character. I want guys that love the University of Arkansas. Listen, it probably helps you to go to Arkansas or be raised in the state of Arkansas to love the Razorbacks, but I'm proving that you can have that feeling and that passion towards Arkansas and be from another state. So what we want is we want kids that have that feeling just like an in-state kid does towards the Razorbacks. And we can forget it and we can find it. And most of them, when they get on campus, they'll say, I never dreamed that this was what it was like. I don't know if they thought pigs were going to run across the field, or why don't we see each other at the game? Now listen, here, let's do a challenge here. When they're on offense and it's in our stadium, we need a few of them illegal procedures, we do. Hey, look, don't you think you're worth 7 points? Don't you think you're worth 7 points? I sure as hell do. You're worth 7 points. Come in there, raise a little hell in there. Be who you are. Get to that tailgate. Have some fun. We love you. We appreciate you, and go home.
So that kind of ties itself together where it says, look, we're looking for bigger and faster, not smaller and faster. And in order to bring those guys here to the University of Arkansas fans, we need your help. We need you to get there at the stadium when Rice shows up and make that an outstanding atmosphere that any recruits that watch says, you know what? It's not just pigs crossing the field at Arkansas. They have crazy fans too. Maybe that's where I need to be.
So yeah, we need them to be loud. We need to help us get some of those false starts, and that help the team out big time. He said in that Little Rock Touchdown Club that we're worth at least 7 points. Fans are. So that's how you can do that. You can be loud, and I love how he just, we're talking about recruiting, and the thing that he instills in all these guys is what Pittman said was he thinks that the biggest thing that we have in our program is that all 120 guys on the team feel like they are very, very, very valuable, because they are. And he thinks they all feel that way. They really do. And I love that. That's just something about Pittman that he instills in all these guys that helps with recruiting. I think that's a big thing right there, that if we don't get a 5-star, we're going to get these 2 stars and we're going to build them up like a Grant Morgan and go.
And his personality shines. You see it in everything that he does. He talked about name, image, and likeness at that Little Rock Touchdown Club. And if you don't listen to what he talks about with the name, image, and likeness, what he says about that, just watch his personality. It shines, and that's what recruits love about Sam Pittman. Check this out.
NIL for us can be very, very positive for us. Now, if it was up to me, like our O-linemen, they got a barbecue deal, So there's two things I want to comment. Thank you. I don't know why I thanked you, but so the barbecue, yes. So our O-line gets a barbecue deal. There's 2 problems with it. Number one, I didn't get involved in that either, Judy. And number two, did I forget number 2? Number 2, if it was up to me, everybody on the team would get the barbecue deal. So I walked in because I'm nervous, because the guys, they're thinking I'm Mr. NIL and I'm not. I'm Mr. Out of It. I don't want nothing to do with it. I mean, can you imagine? Say, I'll give you a Mercedes. You enjoying your Pinto? I mean, you know what I mean. I'm not getting involved in that. So anyway, so we had Trey Knox in there, and he'd had PetSmart or Petco. Which one was it? PetSmart. There you go. Did David, did you acknowledge her too or not? And so PetSmart, and I said, hell, if it's up to me, everybody have a peacock, some dog food, something, but it's not. And so the only way I know how to up your NIL is knock somebody out, score a touchdown, represent the football team in the right way, then that NIL will come into.
So Sam Pittman, as a fan, I think he's pushing all of our buttons. He's making us feel good. He's feeding us the right Kool-Aid. And I think that the kids that are still in high school that are interested in going to be a Razorback, I think he's feeding them the right Kool-Aid as well.
I love his straightforwardness, but he's got such a dry sense of humor. It's just there's just a lot of likability in Sam Pittman, and I for one hope that he will make it and he will be successful enough that he's not fired from this job. Coaches are hired to be fired. I want to see Sam Pittman be able to walk away on his own terms, because I tell you what, man, you've got to like the guy. He's a Razorback guy. He's really kind of like Houston Nutt without all of the weirdness
about the personality quirks. Yeah, no, I love him. He's so genuine, and he also told another story in that club meeting that when he was at Arkansas as the O-line coach, Saban, Bama came calling, wanted them to come be the O-line coach there, and he was like, why the heck would I go there? I'm at Arkansas, and I love that because that's exactly the kind of personality you need to be the head coach at Arkansas.
Absolutely. I love it. I know, Duran, you love it. Brad, you love it. Everybody else that's watching this probably loves it. And the other thing that you're probably going to want to love is tomorrow, Friday night, tune into the ArkansasSportsNetwork.com. Check out Dover as they take on Hector, and Pottsville as they host East Poinsett County. You can catch all of those streams on ArkansasSportsNetwork.com. We'll be back next week to kind of talk about Rice. Look forward to the first game of the season. It's going to be fun, guys. You ready?
I'm ready.
Preseason predictions.
I'm actually looking at trying to get an outdoor projector because I'm so ready. I love it, man. I'm excited about that Rice game, but boy, that September 11th game with Texas,
that's going to be a big one.
I'm ready.
Get an outside projector to watch the game on the SEC Plus network.
There you go.
Right, exactly.
There you go. Well, anyway, stay tuned. Next week, we'll be back with more Razor Wire to kind of bring you all of the news that's hot off the Razor Wire. Stay tuned. We'll be back next week right here on
The Razor Wire.